Welcome to another episode of Motivated Masculine Men, the podcast. Today, before we start, we've got a special guest named Morgan Rich. He is coming on to talk to us around masculinity. In this episode, we dive really deep, go into some what we call rabbit holes, and talk about, how men can provide, preside, protect, how, they are it's really important to be present, how you can really simple tools. We talked that high end of where we're at now, but then also how you can get there and his key tip, his key tool that he uses and teaches others to get to that calm place and really love. We've become vulnerable. We open up. We get deep in conversation. So I hope you enjoy this. And without further ado, let's get going. Awesome. Welcome to Motivated Masculine Men podcast. Today we have Morgan Rich with us, and he's going to talk to us about masculinity as well. He does a lot of stuff around it, which I'm excited to hear somebody else's perspective, a lot of the same things. So without further ado, as I always like to do, Morgan, these podcasts, well, I don't know it. Like I've done a little bit of research around you. I know we were connected through your podcast person who hunts for podcasts. I take it for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call them. Yeah, so I know nothing about you besides the little bit of research that I've done on you. So what I like to do is just let you kind of, tell myself and the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you stand for, and then a little bit maybe about what you do, kind of, in 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, whatever it kind of takes.
However long, as long as a piece of string, I like to say.
Yeah.
Well, really nice to be here, and just appreciate the approach that you take. Which is to say, here we are to see what evolves and what happens. I like to be in these spaces and go like, okay, so here we are, luring spirit, let's call it. To say like there's something that brought us together. There's the technical stuff, but then there's like, here we are. We got this next however long we are to explore, and something interesting will happen, and whatever it is exactly what's meant to be for you and for me and for the listeners. And so excited, always excited just to see what evolves, what shows up, the wild, crazy places that we go, and just see
the conversations that we have. I find with these conversations, I get to the end and I'm like, man, I could just keep talking for like, there's quite a few of these conversations, most of them. You get to the end and you're like, I want to keep talking. Like we could do a whole Joe Rogan 3.5, 4 hour kind of conversation and just keep digging down rabbit holes. And this is why sometimes I have people back on and we'll have conversations around. We'll be like, cool, let's talk about that topic that we didn't talk about last time.
Love it.
And dig into it. So
beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I love that, Chris. It's great. It's just see what emerges. And I like to say, like, we aren't going to know where we're going to be 30 seconds or 5 minutes or 10 minutes from now, but when we get there, whatever it is there.
Yeah.
So a little bit about me. I am a guy who I care a lot about the world, and I care about my people, and I always have been. And the interesting piece I think that has that I've uncovered is that I sort of knew it, but I didn't know it for a long time. I am a really sensitive, caring, thoughtful guy. And I have been I just came into this world like that. But I like to say, I think of it, like the world isn't really open to caring, thoughtful, sensitive dudes.
No.
And so I got really confused for a long time that I was supposed to be like that. How I did in school was stuff that I was supposed to be really good at, and I wasn't good at it. And I had all this other thing, like I was a good listener and I was a good friend and I was a good, just a good person, just caring about things in a way. But I wasn't being taught those things, and I wasn't being acknowledged for those things. And so I sort of dismissed those, thinking that they're just, I don't know, they just aren't important. But what is important is my grade in math.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, well so then I sort of gave up or lost track of all of these things that are actually what I think healthy masculinity, and my book, The Invitation Beyond, Reclaiming Healthy Masculinity, which is a book like that wrote itself through me. It wasn't like it was like I just, by listening to the birds There's a bird sitting on a roof right across the street, which is really sweet. I haven't seen it before, so it's like, hello, friend. But by listening to the birds and the trees and the wind and the natural world, that this came through. And the invitation beyond really was an invitation to all of the beautiful men in the world to say, come on, like we know how to do this differently. We know that doing this, whatever that version of masculinity of dominating and controlling and manipulating that is protecting these sensitive places in us, that is not a healthy version of what we want to be. It's like the invitation beyond that and back into our hearts, back into this place where, look, if I like to say, we like to just remember that we know how to be in this world and care about each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No,
So,
it's so true. I'm a huge sensitive guy. I remember, my mom raised me very sensitive, be touchy feely, snuggly, huggy, that emotional kind of side. Some would say that it'd be very feminine. And we were actually I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins because he changed. I went to one of his Date with Destiny conferences in 2018, end of 2018. And when I was in I was coming out of a very dark place. PTSD, depression, anxiety,
yeah,
steps
yeah,
off suicidal. I'm an
yeah,
ex-cop, so
yeah,
all of that stuff, I almost became a statistic, almost got a divorce, almost cheated on my wife, like went down that whole dark path.
yeah, yeah,
Coming out of it, my mom goes, "I'll pay for your tickets for you and your wife to go to it," which, they're not cheap. And she's like, "You guys just need to get yourself to Florida to where it is." And I was like, "Cool, sweet, we're going. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we're going."
yeah,
And so we went, and I remember we were doing the relationship. Well, we were doing the masculine and feminine side, and this is where I started to really learn about myself with masculine and feminine sides. And he's talking about, everybody's, has we all have both masculinity and femininity within us, and it's just which one is more dominant in you. And some it's way more dominant. The masculine side is way more dominant. Some you're kind of more kind of sitting in the center, and some men, biological men, are more feminine. Uh, at a core. And I remember he was talking about all this stuff, and he was talking about, how, men are very pushed towards being feminine these days and that. And my mom comes running over and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Why are you so sorry?" She's like, "I'm so sorry I raised you so feminine." And it sticks with me. And then I remember after that day, we were driving back to the hotel, and I'm like, I think I'm actually do lean more into like that dominant is more kind of feminine side. And both my mom and my wife sitting in the car, they both real quickly went, "No, you are the
yeah,
most masculine guy that we know." But I was so like you said, you were confused.
yeah,
I had that same thing as well, very confused on kind of where I was.
yeah.
And then I was a cop for 7.5 years, and my wife became very masculine because of the career corporate kind of New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would clash heads, and I always wondered why. And it
Yeah,
wasn't just the trauma side of things, but it was also because I was now in a masculine role, and I come home and try and be masculine, and she was masculine, and we clash heads. And so it's so important these days, especially. I know we're going to talk so much, but I just wanted to kind of so
yeah,
you knew a little bit about myself as well, kind of, but that hit with me around that confusion. And there's so many men. I'm sure you see it with what you do, and you've been doing it longer than I have in this realm of this
yeah,
area of masculinity. How confused men are, especially in the modern day of masculinity, which is why I started this podcast, because it was like we need to
yeah.
have
And
these
thank you.
conversations.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Like it really is a beautiful expression into the world of putting healthy masculine connection, of having conversations that men don't usually have out into the world. And to me, I mean, what you hit was, there's this place of, to me, masculine strength is being able to be inside of the vulnerability, to be able to say, "Hey, I don't know how to do this," or, "Yeah, I made a mistake." We had this story that Hadley, my sweet partner, and I were talking about the other day, where we have a roommate, and he put we have one of those those instant hot kettle things that just
The
heats up
electric
water,
ones, the electric
electrical,
ones, which we've
and he
had in
put
New
it.
Zealand. We've had in New Zealand for years, and like every time I come to the U.S., everybody's like, "What is like,
What is that thing?
what is
Yeah,
that thing?"
one of those things. So he has this habit of putting it on the stove, and it's like an old habit of putting it on the stove. And so just the other morning he was in there, and Hadley said, "Hey, the burner was hot." He said, "Hey, we don't want to ruin that. Let's make sure that we don't put it on the stove, that we actually put it back on the electric, holder thingamajigger. And Peter immediately was like, I didn't put it there.
The defensive.
The defensiveness, and then it was just like immediately defensive. And he said, I don't think it was me. I think maybe you did it. And it was this interesting moment and Hadley was like, okay, maybe. And then Peters paused and went, you know what? I actually think that I did put it there. And we sort of, he always puts it there. So that anyway, whatever happened for him, it was this moment of it was interesting. And he said, "Oh, this is what's happened. He's in this dance in his marriage of trying to save it, and among other things." And he said, "I think this is something that I do all the time," because his reaction was so quick to that defend and to not allow himself to have just done something that didn't really matter in the scheme of things, that he did it wrong, or that he made a mistake. And so there's a couple pieces that I find really beautiful in there. I mean, one is to say that he was able to, one, it just came up so fast, right? And then he recognized it really quick. He just said like, oh, there it is. There's me being really defensive. And that probably is something that is a problem in my marriage.
Yeah.
And then he caught it, which was just so good. So good. And to me, in there is this place of like, that is healthy masculine. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all of our shit together and always doing the right thing and making the right amount of money and blah blah blah. It's like what it's about is it's about being able to be emotionally available for our people.
Yeah. And take really, the thing I got out of that situation that you're saying is also recognizing that we make mistakes and taking ownership.
Yes, in my book I have like radical ownership.
Oh, radical ownership. I'm a huge thing on it. Even if you're in the complete wrong and you absolutely screwed up, if you take extreme ownership, I mean, I work in sales at the moment and, in a hotel, and it's like extreme ownership. If I screwed up, cool, I screwed up. Now, how do we learn from it so that we don't do it again?
That's right. And it's a place of being willing to say like, okay, so here I am. And like the world is about being imperfect. Like, so again, so much of what I talk about and work with my clients on in my coaching and in my men's group, the point here isn't to avoid difficulty. Like we aren't going to be in a place where like we don't run into adversity and challenging things. It's actually about getting really good at moving towards, not away from, but towards the adversity, towards the interesting moments of life, towards the conversations that we know in our heart we have to be having with our partner, with our kids, with our friends, with our boss, with our coworkers, with our, moms, dads, whatever, whoever it might be. Like we know that there are ways of showing up in the world that we can enhance. So we go towards and into those, and in there is a ton of tenderness, is a ton of vulnerability, is the ability to take responsibility, to say, okay, here I am, and I don't actually really know how to do this or what I'm doing, but I'm going to step in here, and then in that place, like to me, that's masculine strength. Yeah. Like that's it. And I think that's what happened when you were in the car with your mom and your wife, and and they said, wait a second, you're a masculine dude. It's because that, like, being able to do that is really sexy.
Yeah.
You want to open up your woman and like help her thrive, like start taking that, start taking responsibility and ownership.
It's so true. That kind of leads me into which I know even still, I think all of us guys still struggle with it. Like, how do I wrote down a question. Here it is. How can men walk the line between strength and responsibility that provide, protect, preside, which is the three kind of pillars that I kind of, lean on to.
Yep.
But while being emotionally honest and vulnerable, but without feeling weak. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Say the three things again, the three principles.
Provide, protect, and preside.
Preside. Yeah. provide, protect, and reside. And so how do we be strong
But still be honest and vulnerable, but without feeling weak. Because I know
yeah,
as men, like I mean, I've done a ton of work on this. I know, just from the 5 minutes that we've talked, you've done a ton of work on this. But there's so many men out there that are like, oh, if I'm vulnerable, or if I talk about my emotions, or if I talk about my stuff with my woman, or even with other guys, or I'm gonna look weak, or I'm gonna be defined as weak.
totally.
And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
especially in
This is
those
one of the
hyper
like
those
there's
hyper alpha roles. Like I used to be, law enforcement, that hyper alpha role. Oh, I'll be weak if I ask for help, or if I say that something's wrong.
yeah, this is one of those places where there's going to be a lot of rabbit holes here that we could go
Oh,
down because
it can go so many
I'm
different
like,
directions.
here we go. Um, I'm gonna start here, which is to say that one of the things that is really important for all the men that I work with, all the people that I work with in my groups, again individually, and in the is that we got to have a daily practice.
Mm,
Okay. And so for me, the daily practice is a time when I say I connect into the man I know myself to be. So I do a meditation in the morning. Currently, I do it while I'm lying in bed. My sweetheart and I have this beautiful morning practice where we both are meditators. So I spend time meditating. And when I connect into the man I know myself to be, what that means is that I'm connecting into that guy that you were talking about, that sensitive, beautiful guy who you know how to be in the world. You know how you want to treat the people in your life. You know how you want to eat. You know how you want to exercise. You know how you want what it feels like to be vital and alive and vibrant and juicy and in it, passionate. We know what that feels like. And so each morning I go in and I go like, okay. And I do this practice of I imagine that guy, that part of me, sitting by a creek,
mm,
that he's hanging out there and he's ready for the day and he's enjoying the sound of the creek and he's looking at the leaves and the wind and just feeling it. And I kind of rummage through the foliage and I go and I say, "Hi, friend. There you are again." Because for some strange reason, I forget him.
mm,
It's like I forget what it is to really be who and how I want to be in the world. And so by going and doing it every morning, I go and I pull through the foliage and I'm like, "Hi, here we are again for this day. This is what it feels like. This is who I am. This is how I want to be in the world. This is what it feels like to be alive and productive and effective and slow and beautiful." And it's sort of embarrassing, I have to say, that if I don't do that, I can get far away from him,
mm.
and then I get off track.
It's almost like that, as I kind of teach people, and that I've learned, is that anchoring. It's that
Yeah.
anchoring moment in the morning.
Yes. Yes.
Before you
That's right.
continue on that, because I know I've been there, we've all been there. What if we don't
Yep.
know what that place is or who that person is? What if we're like, what if the men that are listening are
Yeah.
lost and they're like, I don't know who that image or that place, that creek. I call it your happy place, from Happy
Yeah.
Gilmore. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
if you're a fan of the Happy Gilmore movie,
I'm
but
I'm I'm not, but I'm mildly
yeah, so
familiar.
there's a scene where he's trying to putt. He's really bad at putting, and like his coach is like, just go to your happy place. And so it's like him with like this girl that he likes bringing him beer, and like it's his happy place.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, what if, yeah, what would you say to the guys who don't know themselves? They don't know that person that you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one is it's a beautiful question, and I think one of the really easy and important things about listening to a podcast is like as listeners, like that dude who's out there, you could think like exactly that, like, oh my God, once I get over there, like once I figure that out, then everything will be okay.
Mm,
That there's some place that I have to get to in order to figure all this out. What I'm going to say is like, no, let's stop putting it over there. Let's put it
mm,
right here by listening, by tuning in, by being here, by even considering the question. You're already starting to generate and figure out the answer. This is it. It's not like you're gonna hit something tomorrow and all of a sudden like la and
yeah.
everything is gonna
Not
everything.
euphoria.
It just doesn't work like that. Like we're in it. And so giving ourselves credit for being in it is so, so, so crucial.
Mm.
So then it's doing the same practice, Chris. It's like going in and saying, okay, so I'm not feeling connected to that thing. And another distinction I like to make is I think it's not that they don't know.
Mm.
I think it's that, or they have to discover it. I actually think it's you have to remember it.
I'm glad you said that because I totally agree. We already
You
have it.
remember it.
Yeah,
You
we already
already,
have it.
and all the cultural nonsense, whether it's New Zealand or the United States or wherever, all the cultural nonsense about who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be in the world gets us really confused about what's important.
Mm.
And so part of it is letting go of that kind of stuff and coming and like getting beneath the surface and saying like, wait, here I am, you know. And
Mm.
so even doing the morning practice, even if you sit and you say like, okay, like here I am doing this practice and I don't really know what I'm doing. And it's okay. It's actually awesome that I'm devoting 5 minutes this morning to
Mm.
trying to figure this out. And what we know is that what I know is that if you do it every day, or almost every day,
Yeah.
that what happens is you start to build the muscle, just like going to the gym. And it's like it's not like you go to the gym and all of a sudden, lift however much you lift. You have to start in those humble little spaces of building and building and building. And so, and yeah.
And I will add to that, which tell me if you believe completely different, but where you are right now, as you kind of said, is the perfect spot. But more will come to you the more you do it as well. It will get clearer. You'll get through the mud. You'll get through the fog, and you'll start to really realize who you are. I mean, I've been doing work on myself. I don't know how long you have, but I've been doing hardcore work on myself since 2017. 2018, when I left law enforcement, I did a solo trip on a motorcycle around the US just to reconnect with myself because I was
Yeah.
so lost and force myself to have conversations. Me in 2016, 2017 would not be having conversations with you right now. I'd be sitting upstairs watching TV,
Yeah.
not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so forcing myself to have conversations and talk my story and tell what was going on and say how I was feeling. And now I can do it so well that I look back at that stage and I go, what was I struggling? Like, how was I actually? Like, you really do get confused on where you were. And so it's just that practice every day, as you said, is it's like that muscle. Just keep ticking away, and you'll find one little more thing where you're like, actually, no, that's more like me. I like that more.
Yeah.
And you're
Right.
allowed to
And
change. You're
totally,
allowed to shift and,
absolutely. It,
and
it
change.
it it absolutely, like, it expands you gain again, like when you get more proficient at something, when you start to gain confidence, it starts to really expand. And part of what I talk about is training for the unknown.
Mm.
We're training for the unknown, training so that then when we get to the edge of the unknown, then we don't actually know what's coming next. Like we said, like I don't know what's coming, 45 seconds from now, we're going to be saying stuff that we can't imagine right now. And I just love that, so that we're ready for it. But you have to get ready. You can't, like, you train for that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that in there is that expansion, because at the edge of the mystery, when you're looking out, like, things break open in some pretty impressive, amazing, kind of powerful ways. And one of the things that I also notice is that, and I talk about it in the book, is contrast.
Mm.
If I say like, okay, well, I really don't like my job. I don't like this feeling that I'm having. So inside of that is actually a knowing of what you do like. Because you can't possibly go, well, I don't like this if you don't have a sense of what you do like, what you
Yin and
do
yang. You can't have the
things.
yang without the yang.
Exactly. And so it's easy to be like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. But inside, focus on that and be like, okay, so here's a whole list of things that doesn't work. And when you sit and get quiet, and start to quiet the cultural noise and the thought that, my paycheck and all, my car and my clothes, those are all the things that are matter to me and that my woman really wants from me, all that stuff. And actually realize what she really wants is your heart and your presence.
Mm.
And that all the validation comes from inside self, right? That's where, that's the keys. Because when I love myself and I've got myself completely, then I'm available for all that other space. I'm available for, being, not falling into that weakness.
Yeah.
because the
That's also
weakness
when
is
you start to attract other people. Like I know, like for myself, I do a lot of talking. I talk to, my passion with this whole podcast and stuff as well is also to help men, especially younger men, find relationships, find those intimate relationships because there's a massive challenge from everything that I'm seeing. I'm sure, with your head, you're shaking your head. You understand that when you're in that space and again this all comes off that question of how do we not feel like we're weak by being vulnerable and opening up, and in those times you actually start to attract more people, you start to have deeper conversations, you start to find those partners, both as in friends but then also in that intimate relationship side of things. It also then draws, if you're already in a relationship, it draws them closer to you. My wife and I, even just last night, we were having conversations. I was talking to her around something I don't want to say on this podcast, but we were talking about some things that that I've been going through recently, and I'm like, and she started to challenge me on these, and again, those, as you said, those deeper things, and it's like the old me and even part of me still inside was like, oh, I can't go into that because there's that weakness, and it's like, no, that's not weakness, it's strength, actually leaning into that and actually moving through that and actually developing that part of that muscle and getting clear on what I do want, what I don't want. Because it's,
yeah,
I mean, I'm only, what am I, 38, turning 39 in April. And it's like, I'm not that old, but I'm also like really confused around a lot of different things since leaving law enforcement. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
where do I want to go and what do I want? And
Mhm.
again, it starts with that whole thing. She asked me that same thing. Well, what don't you want?
Yeah. 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 It's, I mean, to me, it's a doorway. It's a
Yeah.
doorway in.
Yeah.
And so then, just talking to yourself in a positive way. I just want to acknowledge you for, bringing that vulnerability last night
Mm.
and to your wife for being able to be in that place and just blessings to
Yeah.
whatever is going on, that you're
Yeah.
working through something. And there's this place, that's important in there, which is, and again, back to your previous question, one of the rabbit holes, is a place of women often say, I want my man, I want my man, you to be vulnerable.
Mm.
And then we bring vulnerability and they go like, whoa, 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 whoa,
I didn't want
whoa.
that much. I didn't want that much
I need you to be
vulnerability.
strong.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, wait, what the fuck? Like, wait a second. Like,
What's your feelings on that? Because I have a thought on that. I want to hear what you have, and then I'll voice what my feeling is, because I did go through something recently where I put my shit to the side because she needed me, and it actually, like, then I didn't actually, because I'm so used to using her, I didn't use the other resources that I have around me until I kind of broke.
yeah, there's a bunch of things. I think it's a really important and beautiful space
Mm,
and nuanced, right? There's some nuance in there. One is that and Hadley and I have talked a lot about this, and we explored a lot. Is the idea of she doesn't want to mother me,
mm.
and women don't want to mother their. It's like, can you think of anything like less sexy,
Yep.
right? Like, I have to hold your emotional life. I have to take care of you. You just dump on me and you expect me to hold this and fix it and do all this kind of stuff. And
That's the
that's
biggest thing. They don't want to have to always be fixing you.
no, it's
Because
and it's not.
that's a masculine trait, and it's not. And most women are very feminine. They don't want to be fixing you all the
They
time.
don't want to be fixing, and right, and we don't really want to be fixed by either. Like that, to some extent, like that's our work. Like I have
Mm,
to have emotional availability, but I also have to have myself.
mm,
Like I've got to be able to take care of myself so that I'm not dumping on her. I'm not needing her to be there
mm,
because I've got myself. And then I can be vulnerable. I can be in the messiness of my life, and she doesn't feel like, oh, well, if I don't, like I have to fix this. And then, so that it allows her to keep that distance and see the vulnerability as strength.
mm.
And that's a key piece. So like going and finding other people to talk to, finding other resources, finding other ways to, to do that work
Yeah.
is important. And in there are the wounds, like what, like we have this place of, like when I get, sometimes I'm vulnerable and I get into my insecure place and I bring it to her and it I'm like, and it hits her place of feeling like she's not enough. And so now we're in a wound conversation
Mm.
and we slip in there, and that's where things get super messy. Like that, like we often just go like, okay, here we're here now, and we try to name it because we're both pretty good at this.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna go and have some time apart, and then we'll come back and try to, and reconnect around this.
Yeah.
Because it is important to be vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think the difference that like for men, and I've really sat with this a lot, especially recently. My wife had some stuff happen, which then sent me down this because there's literally nothing that I can do to fix it. And so you have that full on as a man, especially when I'm doing so much work around this. You have these conversations, you can't not think about things deeper and more. And we're sitting there, and I feel completely helpless. And that was the word that I was like, this is what's hitting me. And just before that, I had some stuff with work, feeling very overwhelmed, very put under a lot of pressure, and I wasn't, again, holding on to it. My boss is a female in that as well, so you have that whole masculine, feminine, like, and so you have that thing of not, I just need to be able to do this, and it was fine, and then it got too much, and this was just before the stuff happened with my wife, and then I saw like push that to the side, work with my wife, hold space for her, be there because that's more important right now. And then it just all came crumbling down the week afterwards as she kind of started to work out her stuff. And then so I did end up calling up a buddy of mine and leaned on somebody else. But where I'm going with that is that instead of coming to her in that state that she really could not be that, couldn't help me work through it, I leaned on a different buddy of mine. He then gave me some good tools. And then I was able to come to her, be vulnerable, but tell her how I was working through it so that she could just hold space and hear it, know that I was
Yes,
going through stuff, but didn't have to do anything about it. There's other
that's right.
times where I go to her and I want her advice, I want her, assistance because we're in a relationship. Things
Yep,
do matter
yep,
to both of
yep,
us. But it
yep.
was this thing of, cool, here's what's going on, and here's how we're gonna work. Here's how I'm working through it.
And
Here's how it is.
I don't. I'm curious. I guess I'm curious about your experience of that. My experience of that is when I'm able to do exactly what you did, and this is like all the work we do in the men's groups. Like we, in the groups, we come and we talk about this stuff, and then go out,
Go off and actually do it.
Yeah, totally.
It gives you a safe
Yeah,
place
yeah,
to
yeah.
get different ideas from different men on how to actually solve these problems because that's just what we love to do.
Yeah, and right, and it's like, yeah, and it's beautiful. Like we get to be really vulnerable and really
Mm.
open and like explore sex and money and love and
Oh,
connection and
yeah,
all
that's
everything.
great. Yeah.
When I am able to bring that, when I'm able to bring that to Hadley, like when I'm able to be in that vulnerable place, she the response is so beautiful, and it breaks open the
Mm.
relationship in this beautiful way of it's so, I mean, one, just that whole interaction is deeply intimate, and I would say sensual.
Massive, massive connection, which is what women
Massive
want.
connection. It's so like beautiful and touching, and to me is like this really juicy foreplay
Yeah.
of because it's real and it's alive and it's love and it's rupture and it's repair and it's all the things of the fabric of actually what it is to be connected and in love with someone.
Mm.
And in that place, of course, the emotional intimacy and connection then leads to the physical emotional and connection, and then we just land in this like beautiful lovemaking place of where it's like really open and connected, and where it's like, oh my god, a half hour ago we were like, okay,
Yeah.
and then it just opens and deepens,
Yeah.
deepens the connection and the sensuality and the juiciness in beautiful, beautiful ways.
Yeah. It's and this is where it comes back to it's not weak, it's actually strength. It's actually strength. Even if there's times where you don't have that other buddy, and my wife and I say this all the time, relationships are 100-100.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, they're
Yep.
50-50. No, they're 100-100. You are
Yeah. Yeah.
giving everything that you have in that moment. And I heard it on another like little snippet of a podcast at one time ages ago. And I was like, it is very true, but you're still giving everything you have. Is like, it was a lady talking about her relationship, and she's like, there's times where I can only give 20%, and my husband can give, that 100%. He's giving that 100%. Then there's times where it swaps. He can only give 20% and I'm giving that 100%. Sometimes we can only both give 20% and we're both sitting at that stage. That's where I would say my wife and I were the other day. I I picked up that 20% and tried to push more on things, and it was good. It was good learning and everything. But you're
Yeah,
giving everything that you have towards that other person. And the other thing
yeah,
that I always say is grass is greenest where you water it, not on the other side of the fence.
hmm yeah,
And this is so
yeah,
true in relationships and communication. And it's not about being weak when you're talking to your partner. It's about actually being, like you said, vulnerable, but it's more telling them what's going on without expectations, but also so that they know where you're at. So when you do have that snappy moment, my wife and I mean, it sounds like you and your partner are so much, you both done so much growth on yourselves.
yeah,
Same as my wife and I. If you're not doing it together, you're normally splitting it apart and it doesn't end up working out very well. But because of that, we can sit there. She knows me so well. She's like, Chris, you're really snappy. What's going on? And that was the moment when, like, I had already talked to that was the day that I talked to my best friend. And I came home. She's like, Chris, you're really distant. What's going on? And knowing that I can be vulnerable with her and tell her, and she was in a better place that day, that I was
yeah,
able to actually go, hey, this is what's going on. I've talked to my best friend. I've done these different things, but this is what I'm feeling. And these are some of the things that he gave me that I think we should do because we were both in such a low
yeah,
place. And so we
yeah.
did it. We went off. We do line dancing on a Tuesday night, which is
Oh,
great
nice,
fun.
beautiful. Yeah, fun. Love it.
And so we're like, oh, do we go? Do we not? And I was like, no, let's go and let's like
Yeah.
use this as a shifting point so that we can actually just stop talking about the shit that's going on and actually just enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, so many different pieces in
Oh,
there that
there's
are
so
just
there's so much.
right, so good. One is just a huge acknowledgement to you to be able to be in that place of, here you have shit going on from work,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and you arrive, home, let's just say, and there she is in need,
Yeah.
and you're able to set your stuff and just go, hey, this is a moment, whatever that is in you, that here's
Mhm.
the moment where I just got to put my stuff aside
It's not as
and
important
be.
as what's going on for her, and then there'll be a moment where her stuff's not as important as what's going on for me.
Yeah, and it's just such a like that's presence,
Mm.
right? That's the fabric of it. That's presence to be able to see like, oh, my person is in need and she needs me right now. I can be there for her and it's okay, like I can handle my stuff.
Mm. And it's
Like I've got
fulfilling. It's fulfilling as well. Like, let's get real, guys. Like, it is
no,
fulfilling.
totally.
Like,
And it's
there's
strength.
nothing,
Like that is the strength.
there's nothing that feels better than like helping your woman through a hard time.
Yeah. And you know, what she really wants, right? What does
Yeah,
she
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
want? What she really wants is that.
Yeah.
She
And
doesn't
and
care
when I
about.
say that, it's not fixing her problem. It's
No,
just being there. And this is what this whole
totally.
situation that I had where I was helpless. There's literally nothing that I could do besides hold ground and be that anchor. And it's
Right.
one of the first times that I really recognized that that's what it was. And being able to actually tell myself, hey, Chris, there's nothing that you can do right now, and that's okay.
Yeah,
And it was
and
so hard as a very strong masculine
yeah,
guy of like, nah, and also being a problem solver and how do I fix that? Like it was so hard and felt so weird, and which is why like it hit me. I over the weekend I was like, cool, yep, nah, I can do this, I can do this. Monday I was working from home, so I was still around for her. And then I went to work on the Tuesday and I ride a motorcycle and I was riding to work, got off the freeway at the off ramp to get to work, and just waterworks just
yeah,
opened up like
well,
because my default and I it's like so many men and the reason I'm saying this is because I know that like you and I were having this conversation which is great and it's this
yeah,
bad and we're going through these again those little rabbit holes but I know
yeah,
that men can relate to this and my default normally in the past before I did all this work on myself and guys it's okay to be there was
yep,
anger. And now, because I've done the work and I've done those little things, like you said, those little meditations every day. I'm not a meditator, but I ride a motorcycle, which I refer to as very similar to meditating.
I'd be pretty
When you're in
present.
you gotta be. And so a few weeks back, I was like, I'm just gonna start riding to work instead of taking the ferry because again, it's forcing me to be present instead of working on the ferry and never really having that time where I'm like, cool, it's just me. And I split lanes and I do it. So you have to be extremely present.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, Waterworks just opened up because instead of going to the anger, and I did go to the anger for a split second, and I let it flow through me. I was like, nope, Chris, just feel the anger, let it flow through. What's the real thing underneath that? And it was Waterworks. It was helplessness. It was there is nothing that I can do, and this sucks. And then I
Yeah.
went to work, and you'll love this. I know, and this is why I'm saying this because I know you'll love this. I'm at work, and one of the HR assistants goes, "Chris, do you want to go get a coffee?" And I came into work, put my headphones in, and I was quiet. That is not, as you can tell, that is not me. And
Yeah.
everybody in the office is like, "Oh, Chris was off sick, like sick yesterday. Today he's very," and so I don't know. I'm projecting that, but then
Yeah.
the HR assistant goes, "Chris, you want to go get a coffee?" Yep, cool. We go. We're waiting for the elevator to go downstairs to leave the building. And she goes, "Oh, how are you doing in that?" And I was like, and I just waterworks.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
you could see in her face she didn't know what to do because I'm 6'6". I weigh about 220 pounds, and
Oh,
I'm
bawling.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm bawling my eyes out.
Yeah. I love it.
And she's like, "Oh my God." And you could see her like, "Do I give him a hug? Do I not?" You could see her kind of going, and then she
Mhm.
gave me a hug, which was great. And then we kind of talked a little bit about
Yeah.
it. And then you'll love this even more. Then later on, I have a one-on-one meeting with my boss, as we do every week. And we're in the meeting, and she's like, "Oh, Chris, how are you doing?"
Yeah.
And just complete again in front of, and you could see in her eyes as well. And I have to give it to her. She just was like, "Work, don't worry about it. Chris, you need to go home. Like, what do you need?" And
Mm,
so, and like again, my wife and I talked about it afterwards. These women probably haven't seen a big burly guy, very massive, just break down.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's beautiful.
that's the vulnerability and strength without being weak because again, knowing that self and being strong within self. And
Totally.
yeah, and I know you'd
That,
appreciate that just again from
yeah,
the
it's
what
great.
hour that we've been talking 45
Yeah, no,
minutes.
that's it. And that's it. A lot of different things. I mean, one is again the connection to self, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where it starts. Like that's where it starts and allows all this. There's a funny thing, when about tears in men particularly. Whenever I see someone, a man cry in public, they almost always apologize.
Yep.
I'm so sorry, so sorry that I'm
I
feeling.
caught myself doing that as well, and I was like, and then they're like, "Oh, you don't need to apologize." I was like, "Yep, I totally know that. I don't know why I defaulted to that because I know I know don't
Right.
need to."
Totally. It's a cultural thing. It's
Mm,
a cultural thing, which is like it's not okay to be crying. And why is it not okay for you to be feeling a lot of emotion, for you to
mm,
be, connected to something that is deeper in there, to caring and loving your person, to feeling
mm,
sad, to loving, being proud of your kid at a game. They do something or they're doing something
mm.
and you're crying because you're so just
So
so
happy.
caught by the moment and happy for them. And we apologize for that.
Mm.
It's a very weird, like, oh, not a big deal, maybe surface level. It's actually a really big deal
It's
because it's a
massive.
message to men that says it's not okay to cry. And I heard this amazing, one of my daughter was on a rowing team, and the coach was just one of those guys who was like an amazing coach, just stood for the kids in a huge way, pushed them really hard, but loved them and like got them, just
Mm.
really made them
One of the
best
best out of them.
rowers that they could possibly be.
Mm,
And it's like at the goodbye gala, and he's up on stage and he's sharing the story about, he's just talking about the kids, and just like it's beautiful, and he starts
mm,
crying. I mean, it's beautiful, inspiring, like everything you would want from a coach, from a man,
mm.
and he apologizes for crying and showing all this emotion and this care and this love for these kids that he just has mentored. And I was like, no, man, thank you for the tears. In the same way for you, like, thank you for the tears and for being willing and able to bring those forth. They are a gift.
Yeah.
Like to care that much about the world, to do that much beautiful work in the world, and stand for people and to stand for love and your partner. And like, yes,
Yeah.
please. Like, let's have more of that.
And that leads into those three pillars that I talk about that protect, preside, protect, provide, and preside.
Yeah.
As men, we love to protect. And I love your thoughts on those three as well. We are protecting, it's in our DNA from millions of years ago to protect the tribe, to protect the people around us. And to be able to do that, you have to also be able to protect yourself. And when I say protect, it's not just physically, it's emotionally, it's all of this. So it's having, again, the whole thing that we've talked about so far, in my opinion, is it's having those people around you that you can be open to so that then you're protected as well. Like you have that space, because if you aren't, those tears, those emotions, that pain does come out in men in anger.
Right.
And that's where we get domestic violence. That's where we get assaults. That's where we get willful damage of broken things. I mean, I was a cop. I've seen it all.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Yep.
where you end up with murder, because they just
Yeah.
that anger builds up so much. And so that's where
And
that
suicide
vulnerability,
and suicide, because
yeah,
that's
and
it's that
suicide. Yeah. And then it leads
self.
all the way down that whole trend, because you don't feel like you can protect, because you don't have you can't be vulnerable. You're not there for anybody. You don't have anybody else that can be there for you, or don't feel like you can open up to those people. This is why it's so important to open up, and you're not weak for it. Like you just talked about, the tears are not weakness. They're actually a strength. Then it's then it's providing. And that's where this really comes in my opinion, is that providing is not just a financial providing, because in this modern day, there are so many women out there. My wife has and always has made more financially wise than I have. But it's, how do I provide other things to her in the modern day world? Because yes, providing back 2 million years ago when we were hunter-gatherers was, yes, going out, getting the meat,
Food.
providing safety, providing, protection, providing food, providing shelter, and then women would provide in other ways as well. Totally different dynamic now. We have
Yeah.
pushed it completely to the other opposite way. So it's providing in the way that you can. Sometimes that is being the stay-at-home dad, because your wife loves what she does so much that she doesn't want to stay at home, and you
Yep.
can do that. That is totally,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
it's presiding. I had a friend of mine on, and he mentioned the preside. The third pillar, I was always kind of, where is it? Is it lead? Is it preside? Is it procreate? Is it, what is that P? And then he said preside, and it's presiding over everybody, not in a controlling way, but presiding over everything, to be there, and so you can provide, you can protect and provide, but you're presiding, and you're present is the biggest thing. You're present with everybody around. I'd love to
Yeah.
know your thought on those three, and if you have any insights, if you have any, like, not, I don't believe, like, not like, let's look and
Yeah.
challenge it over here. Like, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on those?
Here's where I would go with it is, I mean, yeah, it's beautiful.
And we
Again,
could go
thank
so much deeper. I mean, I've got so much deeper stuff on it. That's kind of the,
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the 60-second
I
elevator pitch.
totally. The as I was writing one of the chapters, like the thing that came through was this imagining was I want for my woman, my partner, to thrive.
Hmm.
I want for her to become her whole beautiful self. And I know that in the world, I mean, we talked about the men, this happens for men, but it also happens for women, where they have to compromise in so many different ways because they don't feel safe bringing their full self forward.
Hmm.
I want my woman, I want her and like just to feel so safe, alive, seen, honored, that she the metaphor I use is like entering the arena. I want her to be entering the arena and be in full blossom.
Yeah.
That she is bringing her goddess energy to the arena, and just feels like she parts of her are emerging that she didn't even know were possible, because she feels so supported and so loved. And I am in the background, holding space, keeping it safe, protecting her from any kind of energy that might come and have her compromise. That I am paying attention to, because I've been fucked up by all that energy also in my life. The doubt, the criticism, the judgment, all that kind of those kind of things. And so I'm able to see it coming and thwart it, and get in the way, and so that she is protected, that she is ready in all those places.
The image that came up is, I remember seeing a thing, and I think it was more around, like, it was more of a law enforcement focus side of things, but I've seen it used different ways. There's a guy with all these arrows in his back, and the woman in front of him
Yeah.
holding his arms around like this, protecting, making sure that and there's another image with children there as well. But all the arrows are all those different things coming in and at that.
Right. Yeah. And I would like to say that we want to protect ourselves also in that place. So I don't want to get gotten by the arrows, but I'm able to see them coming.
I was gonna ask
Toward
that
it.
next thing. How do you do that Because I know for you and I, we've gotten to a place where we're very good. We can that dance, and
Yeah.
sometimes we fall off, and just
Yep.
like anybody, and that's how we learn. But we've gotten very good on that dance of making sure that
Yeah.
we're not leaving ourselves behind. I've got a pyramid system that I kind of live by ever since going through my burnout, my PTSD. That I'm happy to talk to as well. But how do you, or what do you coach people on in order to make sure that they don't lose themselves or get resentful towards their partner, and then that anger comes out, or they stop
Really.
being vulnerable, they stop they stop protecting themselves. Like, how that balance, how do you make sure that you don't get lost in that process of making sure that your woman has that space?
Yeah. And it
Or,
comes,
sorry, real quick, we're just sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Or
Yeah.
holding that space that you can then attract that woman into your life and actually
Sure.
find that relationship.
Yeah, that's a nice, because we know that there's lots of women and men out there looking for each other,
Oh,
and
there's lots of them this day and age.
and it's this kind of this terrain that is really good, and I would come right back to the practice,
Hmm.
right, to the daily practice of loving myself. If I'm connecting in every day with here I am, how here's me being with myself, here's me having myself, here's me knowing that I don't need the validation of the outside world to be okay.
Hmm.
I don't need to know. I don't it's my internal, like, I've got me in such a profound way that I am immune to and don't need to be posturing externally in order to be okay in the world. In today's crazy world, it's so easy to get caught in all the nonsense and all the mumbo jumbo. If I'm on this team or I'm on this side, or this, like, I'm right, you're wrong, you're good, I'm bad,
The
I'm
division.
good, just all that division, all that kind of stuff, is there's so much social posturing around all of that, and thinking that we are our paycheck, thinking that we are our car, thinking that we are our, all these external factors, which we've been, so conditioned to believe. Those are some of the arrows. And so that by my coming and having myself, that then I can see those coming, and they just lose their strength and they lose their grip on me. I'm just not threatened by someone's opinion of me, not threatened by that arrow that's been flung and used to just nail me, and I would be down and out. Now I can just sidestep it, or use my shield,
Yeah.
or just, like, and then it just lands on the ground, and it's not harm. There's nothing there. And so it's crucial to take care of self, in more practical ways. So, like, the daily practice is really huge. But like you said, I think dance, like, we go and we dance. I go and I dance. I go and I go play ice hockey.
Yeah.
There's places of taking really good care of myself and working this stuff through. Like, I go to dance because I love dance, and I think it's an incredible expression of the world, like a culture that doesn't dance.
It also taps us into, and I'll say this, guys, it taps you into your foundation. I have two left feet and can't hear the beats to save my life. My wife and I have tried salsa before, and it just did not work. When she was a kid, she did competition level ballroom dancing, all that, so she can hear the beat. She, like, just like our wedding, I did the two-step shuffle. Her dad came in, who can hear the beat, and just completely showed me up, and he had no clue what the song was or what they were going to be doing. And so now with line dancing, it's great. Again, I'm there, I'm present, presiding with my wife. I get to actually do my stuff, and I actually enjoy it. Amount of people that I tell I go line dancing on a Tuesday night, they're like, "What?" Again, big, burly, 220 pound, 6'6" guy that
Yep. Yep.
the societal expectation is there's no freaking way that he'd do anything. But it is so much fun, and I love it so much. And I remember the first time we went, the instructor came up to me and was like, "Oh, it's so good to have some young, because it's mostly all retirees. So good to have young, gave me a few little
Yeah.
tips and
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
She's like, "Are you?" Like, you could tell it was like, "Are you enjoying it? Are you going to come back?" And, like, we've been doing it for a couple months, and I
Love
absolutely
it.
loving it. And I'm slowly getting better. I can slowly hear the beat. I'm actually getting the dances, like, actually going, "Oh, it's this dance again. Okay, cool. I understand that one." And it is like you said, it is so much fun. And it taps us into that feminine expression side of ourselves, and then also you lose yourself in it. And music,
Yeah.
there's just nothing that, like, I
Right.
believe nothing that calms the soul more than music.
Totally. And so training for the unknown, right? Again,
Yeah.
training for the unknown. Like, how do we be? And we've talked about a lot of intense places of being there for your person when they're in their,
Yeah.
like, you can learn how to be there for someone in that intensity, and the volume is high. Like, there's a lot of intensity. So training for the unknown is about learning those to be able to hang in those places outside of the moments, so that then you have some foundation, some infrastructure on board, so that you can handle yourself in those. And they're like tests, they're just like they're these moments.
Yeah.
Dance is a beautiful metaphor for everything, and just practical, like, way to go be in the world. But you could also play pickleball
Yeah.
or ice hockey, or you know whatever your thing is.
I paraglide. I
Play music.
paraglide as well. I paraglide as well. So it's that same thing.
Sure.
Like,
And
it's having those things
yeah,
that are for you as well. Having those
and
specific things. Sounds like ice hockey for you.
yes, right. And I'm not just going and playing. Like, yes, I'm just going and playing, and it's physical and it's fun, and it's like I get physically in good shape, which I would add as another thing. Like, being in good
Huge.
physical shape is huge, like,
Yep.
just for a lot of different reasons. But eating, exercise, all that's really important.
Yeah.
But like, I go and work shit out at hockey and in dance, like, just like you said, to show up at dance. And we do ecstatic dancing, which is sort of a free, just playful contact, like touching.
Cool.
You play with all of these dynamics inside of the dance of, am I a good dancer? Like, wait, that person is doing that and I can't do that. Like, wait, they're better than I am and I'm not, don't feel confident. And then, wait, how do I actually dance with her? And then how do I dance with him? And then, and so you're in all of these, like, beautiful nuanced places. And it's like, that's what we're talking about.
And it
Is
gets
how
you it gets you to do those challenging things and learn how to, like you said, shit, I'm not as good as that person. How am I going to dance with them? But then it's that, oh, I'm going to give it a go.
right. And that's like right. So training for the unknown, training, like, a lot of it is learning to be uncomfortable. And that's a
Uncomfortable
perfect
in the
thing.
uncomfortable, getting comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Really uncomfortable and, like, really good at discomfort. So, when I started doing yoga years ago, or started dancing, same sort of thing. It's just so easy to go and be like, oh my God, I suck at this, and, like, I should be better. And I mean, it's beautiful that you're going and you just keep showing up and keep showing up, and you notice yourself getting
Yeah.
better. But, like, the real, for me, there's the physical part of it. The real part is the headspace of your, like, I was going to yoga and spending 90 minutes, you know, um, working on my body. And I would look across at, all these people next to me, and they would be doing the poses better than I was doing the poses. And then I'm like, I suck at this. I'm like, my body is this. I'm not good at this. I'm not strong enough. I'm not flexible enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And then I went, dude, you are in a yoga class. Like, you have shown up to a class and you keep coming, and you're giving yourself a hard time for actually making an effort to get better. Like, you got, like that's the real work, right?
Snap out of it, dude. Like, come on, let's go.
Exactly. Like, well, and I have like, I mean, really, like, I talk about this because it's really important. Like, there's a sensitivity, but it's like, we have to learn to talk to ourselves and tell our story in a kind, nourishing ways. Like, that's golden, and really, really important to frame everything we're doing as a learning experience.
I
Right?
want the talking to yourself. I want to touch on that for a second, because you hear so many, especially men. I mean, women are bad at it as well, but we're talking about men here. And again, a lot of these same things women can, they can use
Oh,
as well, just more in a
100%.
feminine, sexy way. It's just human things. But we're directing it at the men out there, because predominantly the audience. That self-talk is, in my opinion, one of the most important things that you have to get good at. My mind, and my wife does not understand it because her brain does not do it. My mind instantly has, and always probably will, goes directly and finds the negative or what's wrong with the situation. What is wrong with it? How, like, and it is taken, and it's why, as law enforcement, it was great, but it also was partially what destroyed me in it,
Yeah,
because I
sure.
got lost in that negative.
Yep.
And then surrounded myself with more negative people that would just complain about it. And so then who you hang out with the most, I'm sure you know this, you've heard it. The people, the 5 to 7 people you hang out with the most is who you become the average of. So be very careful on who you hang out with all the time. But that self-talk, if we talk to our friends, our partners, our family, the way that we talk to the way that most people talk to themselves, we would be lonely. And so it's
Yes.
being very, very specific on that. For me, I go straight to the negative. I have to instantly change myself of cool, what's the positive out of that? What's the solution? What's the good out of it? And sometimes it's just going, it is what it is. And that's all
Mhm.
and I'm going to learn from this. And that's the good
Yep.
out of it.
Yep. And it's this again, it comes back to the same, right? The same, like I've got myself.
I've
I
got
love myself.
myself.
Right. That is so
It
right.
does, it
Like
circles all the way back.
and that and in my practice in the morning, it's like sometimes it's 5 minutes because I've got, and sometimes it's 2 hours,
Yeah.
and I just go in there and it's about and so that's the foundation of
Mm,
this. And then and learning and committing to doing it because you want to just start to stack
yeah.
wins, just like get yourself feeling good about those things. And then talking about it takes a huge amount of presence, of awareness of, oh, there's that negative voice that is so pervasive in me. And then it takes creativity to be able to figure out how do I talk about this differently? How do I actually frame this in a way that gives myself credit for being in the class, even though, I'm not as flexible as people next to me. I'm not as, I'm not doing the pose, Mr. Iyengar, said I should do it that way. I'm doing it the way that Morgan does it because I have my body and this is my body and it has my injuries and it has my abilities. And so I'm going to do the pose the way I do the pose. So the creativity comes in to be able to frame everything at like literally everything in a positive, generous, caring way. And that then starts to open things up in the same kind of way that we've been talking about, where it's like you're at dance and you're like, okay, here I am learning. Here I am learning. Like here I am.
It's,
I'm not
it's the
not doing
same
this.
thing. We're talking a lot about dance and, you talked about yoga, but you mentioned ice hockey. It's the same exact thing.
It is. I had a really interesting insight this week. I was like, I came running home and I'm like, Hallie, let me, I figured something out. I play a couple different games, and one game I play where I'm one of the better players. I've been playing since I was 3. I'm 55, so I've been
Yeah.
like I'm not a great player, but I'm a
You
really good
have
player.
time. You have time,
That's
time and experience on your side. Yeah.
yeah. And I play in one game where I'm one of the better players, and I have a lot of confidence. I'm like I'm working hard. I just like there's a certain flow to my game that is I really enjoy. That feels really really good.
You got in the zone, as I
And
call it.
there's yeah, and it's just like and there's a little bit of like
Yeah.
like
If
just
you're in your 20s, you'd really have like just taken off because you'd have
yeah
the
yeah
age on your side then too.
yeah, and so it's like I'm playing well, and I'm playing, and I'm just it's like it's, and then I play in a game where there's a lot of younger guys, and
Mm,
they're bigger and faster and better than me, and so there I noticed myself deferring, like I just noticed
mm,
myself deferring a little bit, and then I lose some confidence,
yeah.
and I'm not as I've been learning how to be more, like my image of myself playing is less generous in the better game than it is in the other game.
Yeah.
And I thought, how interesting that there's just this, like I can feel it in my body. Again, I'm so sensitive that I can feel the energetic cellular level kind of difference. And so I go to hockey and I start to play with this stuff where I'm like, I saw it this week, and that's why I was so excited. I came like, hey babe, like I realized this thing that I am not as confident in this better game. And so I'm gonna like fuck that. Like what would it be like to bring that same level of confidence into this other place and just and allow it? Like there are players who are better, but I still have that mojo,
Yeah.
and I'm working my edge and I'm working my edge and I'm working my edge, and it's like it's like yeah, it's just I was like, oh God, there's this thing where I'm not that, I'm just like ugh. And then I go to hockey and I work it, like I
Yeah.
work the edge.
That's the most important thing is it's not just realizing it and then doing nothing with it. It's actually taking that action.
Yeah,
And
and I
guys,
think it's
that's what we're
taking
so good at. We are good at
yeah,
taking action when we allow ourselves to.
and go to a place where you feel like hockey's fun for me. It's not like I
Mm,
have to force myself to go to hockey. It's like it's a place where I really like it and it's fun. And then I work on all of it. How do I be patient?
mm,
How do I be how when I'm under pressure, like we talk about in these intense conversations, there's a lot of stimulation. There's a lot coming at me at the same time. And in hockey, that happens all the time. I've got the puck and there's guys coming at me. I'm like, okay, so how do I stay calm?
Mm.
You know, like how do I stay here I am in this moment? I can just stay calm in a lot of intensity and then make the play that I want to make, which translates, of course, energetically. The energetic imprint of that is exactly the same as when, you know, my sweetie and I are in one of those moments and it's like, okay, how do I hold my presence? How do I hold my poise in this intensity? Okay, well now I've got an imprint of it because I did it at
Because
hockey.
you've done it, and everything's transferable.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you teach, you know, I've taught my cells, I've taught my, you know, myself to be in a place of like, okay, I can do hard things. Like, I know I got it. I got me in those hard places. And one of the ways I practice is cold water, you
Yeah,
know,
ice baths.
is ice baths. And I just want to like here. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's one of the things about ice baths and men that I found.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I can stay in the ice bath for like 7.5 minutes, you know, and like, yeah, like,
Yeah, the macho side.
like the macho side of it of like, yeah, I stayed for 11 minutes. Like, oh, well, and it's like, okay, great. Like, whatever. You know, there's some benefit to staying longer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it just becomes that same external thing of like, now we have bragging rights because I can stay for 7.5 minutes and you can stay for only 6 minutes. And like, you know, it's this competition thing that's all about external validation.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, it's like that
All
doesn't
about
have
significance.
shit.
All about significance.
It's about presence. And
Yeah.
it's about, to me, it's about, again, playing this game of I'm going to make a commitment to myself to get into the cold water.
Mm.
And when I do, it doesn't matter how long I stay. To me, the first thing is like the commitment when I made it was I just said, I'm gonna get in.
Mm.
You know, and then I'm gonna celebrate that I got in, even though it was for just 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And you know, and I coach my guys, so like do it in the shower. Just turn the nozzle to cold.
I've been doing that since
It doesn't even,
2018, literally the end of my shower. Everyone, if I don't do it, it feels weird. If I don't
right,
flick it all the way to cold and just sit there until I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, sweet, that's what it is now. It's not
right,
about
yeah,
timing. It's just, oh, that's what it is now. Okay, cool. I'm done now. Like, I can turn it
yeah.
off.
And you can just turn it back if you need to. Like
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
for 5 seconds, and then turn it, you
yeah.
know, like turn it back.
In the
Like, great.
beginning, that's what it was.
Right.
Now I go on vacation. I'll be to my, oh, no, the water's not cold enough here.
Yeah, so the other thing that's key in there for me is like, okay, so one is just like it's a great place to practice being kind to myself. Of like, oh, I did it versus not doing it.
And you have to be present and you have to breathe. This is the
And
biggest
there's a
thing. Most
huge amount,
people
yes,
don't breathe when they do it, and they're like, "Oh my God, this
totally.
sucks." And it's like, just breathe through it, and you'll actually get through it just like that.
And again, there's like a huge amount of stimulation.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of sensory input, and I'm telling myself that this is hard. But what if I just tell myself that here's just me in a moment of life with a lot of sensory input, and I'm totally fine. Like it's the sensations are the sensations, but I'm not dying, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And so then the second piece is like the calm. Like
Yes. It forces
when I
you to be
first did,
calm. If you're not calm,
I
you're
was like
screwed.
cold. I'm like
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, that's actually not helpful
Yeah.
because my nervous system is amped.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to get in cold water, and I have to have at least a moment of calm,
Yeah.
where I'm just my nervous system, my cells, my entire body is like, okay, it's okay. Here I am. I got this.
Yeah.
I can do hard things. And what happened for me, it sounds like what happens for you is that then it starts to expand, you know, like we were talking about before. You know, it's like that moment then starts to expand where I can now stay in the water for longer and I can stay in colder water for longer. And it's this dance of like, okay, here's my edge of playing of what it feels like to be alive in this moment.
And every day is different. So I had a
Yeah,
cold. So for years I did just shower. Then I made a cold plunge out of a freezer, and I had it for ages. And then my mom gave me her old classic car, so I had to get rid of it because I didn't have the space, and
yeah,
also just some financial things. So I decided to sell it. And I was like, it's not doing what I like. The cold shower does the same equivalent as the freezer was, but it was costing me a lot more with power and all that. And I was like, I don't need it. I don't need it right
yeah,
now. I will get another one eventually, but I don't need it right now. Uh, but that was that exact thing is I would jump in it in the morning, and at one stage I had it down at like 3 degrees Celsius. And so I'd have to break the ice pretty much on the top,
Yeah,
around
yeah,
the
yeah,
surface, the edges. That you'd break the ice and everything, and it was in there. And then I brought it back up to 6, 7 degrees because the power usage was through the roof. But
yeah,
also because I was like, okay, this isn't really 6 degrees, 3 degrees didn't make any difference to how it was making me feel through the whole day. But it
yeah.
was that whole thing of, and I learned this, and this is something I brought from law enforcement era, is if you are not calm in stressful situations, everything goes wrong. And so you do that same thing. My wife says it to this day. She's like, and she's seen it happen because of some situations that we've had like overseas and things like that. She's like, I do not want to be with anybody else when shit is getting real. Because she's like, you just go into this calm, flat place. Like, and I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
Like we had a situation where when she was in hospital and she really doesn't like her blood taken, and we told the nurses this, and they didn't really believe her, and then she did it. She
Yeah,
hyperventilated so much that she went into like that
yep.
compulsive, like where all the muscles kind of, and I just
Yeah,
went,
yeah,
and everything cognitively she's completely there, but her body is just like,
yeah.
because of the hyperventilating. And so literally I just went straight into that calm cop mode and just complete, and that was one of the situations that she saw. But same thing with the ice bath. Like you said, if you sit there and you stay in that chaos or that craziness, it's horrible. But
Right.
as soon as you start to breathe and you start to focus and let things go, it's good. And this is what I used to do as I'd go through. I remember it was Alex Herberman. He talks a lot about the cold. Yeah, yeah.
Andrew Huberman.
Andrew
Huber.
Huberman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Huber.
yeah. Um, he talks a lot about it, and I mean, talks about all the different science and everything behind it, but he's
Yeah,
like, if you
yeah.
just start with going through two of those phases. So when you go through, you get in the water, and it's like, oh my God. He's like, get in as fast as you possibly can up to the, I forget where the nerve is right here at the base of the neck, but
You get
yeah,
vagus
the
nerve.
venous nerve. Get all the way into the venous nerve as fast as possible. And then he's like, breathe through it. As soon as you get to the calm, then sit with it. He's like, it'll stay calm, and then you'll get that again. Go through that stage, and he's like, then you can be done. He's like, some people will take 30 seconds to go through those two things. He's like, that's all you need. He's like, some people it'll take 3 minutes.
It's
And he's like,
it's
the
it.
more you practice, the longer it actually will take for you to get through that second phase. And he's like, you don't always have to go through that second phase. But I remember that. And so I started to do that one as well. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, this impact that calms the brain so much faster.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the call again, in the spirit of like, how do you help your woman thrive?
Yeah.
Helping her enter the arena. You know, being able to be calm when the arrows come, then they don't all hit you in the back
Mm.
because you're able to see them, know them, and avoid. And it's quiet. So you see the attacks coming, you see, and that is so safe. And when you think about, helping your woman thrive, like what she really wants, like that is so sexy.
Mm.
And it is so like your wife said, like I don't want to be with anyone else when things go haywire. Like to be able to bring that calm and to
Yep.
bring able to bring that presence, like that is, and again, even in like super beautiful, sexual, intimate, pleasurable moments, to be able to stay calm and not tense. Yes, please.
Yeah. And that's also being able to show that and be able to express that and have that kind of ooze off of you as such. Not to sound weird, but
Yeah,
also will
absolutely.
attract that partner. It'll
It
attract
will.
that person. I had a
Yeah.
question for you that I really did want to ask.
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of like shift the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
What is the dark side of masculine conditioning that many men don't see, and how can we consciously avoid repeating those patterns?
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful question. Well, the dark side is, from my perspective, is there's a bunch of different pieces of it. One is it's wanting to control, it's wanting to manipulate, and it's wanting to dominate situations, which is the opposite of the ownership that we talked about earlier.
Opposite of the three pillars that I talked about.
Opposite of the three pillars, and it's there, and it's like the story of the guy with the kettle, right? My friend with the kettle. Of it was like such an immediate reaction of like you know I didn't do anything. Like it wasn't me.
Mm,
That kind of thing. And so I would say like one way to avoid it all is all the stuff we've talked about. Like there's just this beautiful place of being with self, being present, that is the antithesis of it, of being able to be flexible, of being able to be accountable, being able to be humble, being able to be soft, and how strong those things actually are. And I think, there's something also that I think is related to all of this, which I think is our whole wacky conversation and paradigm of cock size in the with this idea that the bigger your cock, the better man you are. It's almost like for women, like the bigger your breast, the better woman you are. And it translates into like the bigger your cock, the better lover you are, the more women want you, the more you're desirable, like all this stuff that is just patently undeniably false.
It goes back to the like, I think it's that stoic-ish type era. Like I've got stoic sayings all over me, but I
Yeah, yeah,
believe
yeah.
that stoics, I believe that they meant something completely different to the interpretation that we see in a lot of movies. But I think it does, I feel like it goes back to that kind of era of like, I'm Roman, my sword's bigger than your sword. Like,
Kind of thing. And it just is like it's like it is. It's in movies, it's in TV shows, it's like all over this culture in this sort of, ha ha ha, like
yeah.
kind of way. And we all are like, yeah, it's damaging.
Yeah.
And it's not subtle. And the number of men who feel insecure about their cock size is huge.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is like to talk to women and they like go like emotional presence versus cock size. I mean, not 100%, but like what they
But
want
even
is
but even even still, like talking to like women also, like the bigger your cock, the more it can actually be painful for them as well. So I like
oh no, 100, absolutely, no, absolutely. And you just think like here, there is this piece which I think is important. Like if you have a big vagina, then having a proportional
it's that puzzle
penis
piece. It's that puzzle
is
piece.
great. It's a puzzle piece. So like if you have a small vagina, then a small penis is like that there's some relevance there. But just this like bigger, better thing that is pervasive,
Mm.
and no one ever speaks into the place of how damaging that is,
Yeah.
and how much it actually does get back to your question of like how do we not perpetuate this stupid paradigm of being men with our heads up our asses, like like that's part of it, is to say like shit like that doesn't matter. And if we keep pretending it does,
Mm.
jokingly or not jokingly, it messes with us.
Yeah.
And it gets us away from actually our hearts and what really matters. And so we're like chasing things that are, you know, like we're like, again, as I started, that sensitive side of myself that I didn't actually know was there because I thought I was supposed to be something else. I thought
Mm.
my dick was supposed to be different than it was. I thought that I was, and that's like a pretty foundational thing.
Yeah.
And puberty is all the like awkwardness of all the like,
Yeah.
and so
Talking through
it's
all that.
brought, and I didn't have men in my life to talk through that with. I didn't have models. I didn't have anyone saying this kind of thing or having this kind of conversation really ever. And so I had to make it up myself. And so part of what I hope, and I love it that you're thinking about young guys, is that they listen to this kind of thing and they go like, okay, wow, finally someone is talking about, like this thing that matters. And I would just say in the world today, as crazy as it is, one of the things that's really damaging is there aren't men speaking up I mean, there are, because here we are doing it.
Yeah.
There's like the more it's like it's this perpetuation of a paradigm, and then young people look out in the world and go, that's what it is to be a man. Like that doesn't seem very interesting to me. There's no integrity. They're being mean. They're lying. They're like saying shit that is not true in my it's just false.
Mm.
But that's what it means to be a man instead of this beautiful thing inside of me.
You also don't get men standing up for all people in general, but you don't get a lot of men standing up in person either. They're happy to do it like this through a computer screen, through a
Yeah.
camera. They're happy to do it via a keyboard warrior. But the amount of times that you see something that is wrong and nobody stands up against it. And I mean that's probably the law enforcement ex-law enforcement person in me as well. Like I run towards gunfights, I run towards knife fight, I run towards all that shit.
Yeah.
but you don't see the men. Again, it goes back into that protecting side. It's not just about protecting your family circle. Yes, they are the first ones that you protect, but it's also protecting others and being that space to be able to protect others. And on that toxic side, as you said, it's not being that ego driven, rah, my dick's bigger than your dick, I'm bigger than you are side of things. Is going, okay, cool, what can I bring to the tribe that's going to benefit us? That's how you counteract that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
kind of what I feel like you're saying, to kind of sum it up, is that we all bring things to the table and we need to lean on those strengths instead of
and
trying to be something that we're not.
totally, the standardized test movement in the United States of like trying to standardize kids and trying to standardize things. It's like it's the dumbest thing
The
in the it's
schooling
just
system, that's a whole nother conversation.
a whole other conversation. It's just so dumb because what I want you to be your unique, beautiful self. Like I want each of us to bring those unique gifts. This is one of the gifts of the invitation beyond when I was going and talking about it. Because again, it's the invitation
Yeah.
beyond, in like beyond the bullshit, beyond the status quo, and into those beautiful, magical parts of ourselves that that we all have these talents, and some people have wild talents that are like beyond what we can imagine. Talking to dead people, being connected to spirit, being connected to the trees, whatever that is. Like that is such beautiful terrain. Um, and I have this fun story about what you just said. That it's a story that came for the book about playing hockey. And
Mhm.
one day a guy wanted to fight me. It's like this is a pickup hockey,
I was
right?
gonna say it's a hockey thing, isn't it?
Right. I mean, that's a hockey thing, right? We can throw all the hockey jokes in there. But this is a lunchtime pickup game where there's not checking. Like we're old guys, so we aren't like running into each other. And a dude like just like took a stick and like slashed my ankle, and then he tried to hurt me. And I was like, and I went up to him, and he was a big tough ex-military.
Yeah,
He had some really challenging pieces. It was evident.
yeah.
And I just got right in his face and I said, look, my friend, do not try to hurt me. It is not okay to hurt me. That's
Mhm.
not why we're here. And he was like, you want to go? You want to go? Like, come on. And I'm like, no, my friend, I don't want to go. I'm not going to fight you. But fucking stop trying to hurt me and everybody else because
Yeah,
it's not how we want to be here.
yeah,
And what happened was it was like that to me was a sovereign masculine doing it differently.
yeah.
Like I'm
Well,
not going
you
to
had
walk on.
your two things there. You had your toxic masculinity going on there, that ego masculine, and then you had your actual modern day, what I would say is true masculinity.
Right. And I've long in myself, I haven't been strong enough to actually be able to
Mm.
step into that place. And I did, and finally I did.
Well
And again,
done, man.
yeah, thank you. I mean, he kept
Well
goading me and
done.
goading me. And yeah. And I had to keep at it. But then what happens is we're sitting in the locker room and someone will come sit next to me and go like, I'm having a hard time with my wife and
Mm.
we're in a really hard place. Do you want to go have lunch? Or they'll say something where just like that kind of thing, or they're like, "Oh, I'm really like feeling down," and they because they've seen me standing
They've
up.
seen your strength, your grounded strength, instead of your
Yep, and
chaotic strength. They've seen your
yep,
grounded strength. And so they
yep,
know,
and they
again,
see me
going
like,
back to the three P's, they know that you can protect their space. They know that you can preside over and hold that space for
yes,
them. And then they know that you can provide that kind of, that they want to be like you. So that they know you can provide that. It's being a big guy, doing a lot of martial arts, having that kind of side of things. When I was younger, I was that rah in your face, trying to prove myself, just like most young men, trying to find their place in the world. But being a big guy, I don't go to nightclubs or anything anymore. But it's still that thing of you do get because you stand out. You have those ego guys that do try and step up to you, and there is so much strength. It's not that I can't dominate. Like,
yeah,
and
right,
I'm not trying to float my boat here. And I know I'm not the best, and I haven't done martial arts in a very long time, so I
yeah,
know
yeah,
I'm very rusty. But I remember saying this to somebody, maybe it was even on a podcast, or I was saying it to somebody, I was like, man, I should really get back into martial arts. I feel very rusty, and I feel like, oh, I probably, if shit did hit the fan and I had to pull that side out, Not that I ever want to, because it's always about how do we deflect things, how do we
Yeah.
calm
Yep.
things down. But at the same time, as a man, I know through, just fitness training and that, but also the trainings that I've had in law enforcement, and I used to do close protection work and all that, is that I can protect the people around me if I need to. Not that and that's the difference, is there's you can, but you're not going to use it unless you have to. And then there's the guys
Well,
that think they can, that probably can in some case, in a lot of cases. But it's that, as I said, I feel like and I remember this person turning to me and going, Chris, with the training that you have, you're probably better than 90% of the people out there anyways, even Rusty. And I was like, that is kind of true.
yeah.
But it's that thing of, a true man, as you've talked about, a true man doesn't need to use that, but probably most of them will have the capability.
Yeah, right. And I mean, and I, like I felt that, like there's a strength of like, don't,
Yeah.
do not mess with me or my people. Like,
Yeah.
don't mess with my woman.
Yeah.
Like and I do this both like physically and energetically
Yeah.
also.
The
Saying
energetic side of has so much more power. The
totally.
person who can communicate and has that energy behind them, you don't have to be able to physically back it up all the time. It's just having that, again, that confidence, that true
Totally. And
masculine
like,
confidence.
you do not want to mess with me. Like whether it be like a physical,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a person or a spirit or whatever it might be, energy coming in. I'm just like, you don't want to go down. Like this
No.
is not going to go well for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be calm and I'm going to be really present. But if you cross this,
Yeah.
it's not. Like I'm not backing down
You
here.
hold that boundary.
That conviction, and again, that's the welcoming. Welcoming the woman into the arena. Stepping like really. Bringing them in, and yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
I love it, man. And obviously, we've got the book, The Invitation
yeah. The
Beyond.
book,
You've mentioned it a
yeah,
few
you can.
times. Where do
Yeah,
people find it?
so
How do they get a hand of it?
yeah, great. Morganrich.com.
MorganRich.com. Perfect,
Yeah,
easy.
all kinds of resources, the book, the coaching, the men's groups, all those kind of things. For the listeners, if they go to morganrich.com/courage, there's a resource there for them about what is the next step? How do I take that step? We talked about like what about those men who don't know? So there's a resource there. They can also schedule a short conversation with me on that place, and there's access to all my programs from that place. There's all kinds .com
MorganRich.com.
/courage. Yeah, beautiful. And then, I have YouTube is at Morgan Rich Beyonder. Some really nice resources there, some videos about all this kind of stuff. And then morganrich.substack.com is a lot of my writing and a lot of my work. And there, my coaching is really, we talked a little bit about it earlier, so I wanted to share, that moment that you had, the intense moments of life. You don't always know what to say or how to move in those moments. But to me, and I love being in those moments with people when that thing comes alive and you have to have the conversation, or you have to leave your job, or you have to go and do that thing that is just you're so excited about. Go dancing, ask her out,
Mm.
take that step. Those can be really intense moments, and or getting broken up with, or just dealing with death.
Yeah.
Those are we didn't talk about that at all. I mean, that's super important and juicy. But like those are the moments I love to hang out with people in coaching. Like a young woman who was a dear friend and worked with. She was about to get engaged, and she knew she didn't and couldn't do it,
Wow.
and knew that it was like, okay, if I cross this threshold, then it's just gonna, then we're gonna have the wedding plan, and then we're gonna have the guests coming.
It's gonna get worse and worse.
And it gets just worse and worse and bigger and harder and harder. And it's really hard in the moment to say to your 7-year partner, I'm not gonna, we're gonna now break.
We're done. Yeah.
So to hang in that place is one of my to have support in those places is a lot of the coaching work that I do, and I just feel so honored to be in there. And I don't have like a method or a methodology or here's the 3 steps, because what it is like you said, it's like in that moment I don't know what to say, but I know how to listen.
Yeah.
And I know how to be there with someone, and I know how to care, and I know how to cry with them. But, I have this thing of like holding people in the biggest light that they can. I like to shine light on the biggest part of themselves. And so even in the darkness, I can see the light coming through, and just start to gently shine light on that, to see like, here you are crying, here you are heartbroken, and you're doing it beautifully. Like, it takes so much courage to be right here, right now in this.
Yeah.
And to me, those are the conversations that men aren't having. And and this is how we do it.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Morgan, for, everything you're doing as well. Go to, morganrich.com, have a look at things. Um, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody for listening. I have a tradition where I ask the same question at the very end,
Yeah.
and get your thoughts. So we'll close out with that. I'll open the floor though, if there's any final words or anything else that you'd like to say before I ask you that final question.
Yeah, well, I'll just say the audiobook's really good too. I recorded the audiobook.
Oh, perfect. There's an audiobook.
Voice, and it was a super beautiful like performance.
Yeah.
It was really like I got to pour, writing is for me, it was like I wrote and I was like, I kept doing things. My editor was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to bring the passion and the energy and the tears and the this into it." And he's like, "This is a book. Just write the book.
Write the words down.
Write the words down. You don't need all cap, but the audiobook is me, and it's beautiful, and you can get that. It's on Amazon too. This is part of the process. That by listening, that by caring, that by just allowing yourself to be present in right now, that the work, that all the stuff that we're talking about isn't, like, oh, when I get to be like Chris and Morgan, then everything will be great. Oh, when I get to have that particular thing. It's like, no, right here, right now, the care, the courage, the willingness to sit for, like the daily practice is huge. Get to the place where you love yourself, where you feel good about yourself. And if you don't, then come be in the men's group. Go find a friend like you did so beautifully. Just start to build out of there. And just by starting, you're creating a vibration in the world that I would say, in this crazy ass world, that if we each did that small action, that it doesn't matter if the size of the action doesn't matter. The action matters. And that's, so let's each do that and then see what magic unfolds from there.
I love it. Great, final words. All right. So final question I have. If you could hand every man on the planet a single insight that would unlock his potential to lead, love, and live with purpose, what would you tell him?
Yeah, I would say fall in love with yourself. Just like really fall in love with yourself and learn the brilliant, beautiful reason that you're here on this planet. That we each have you've talked a lot about your unique body. You have this big body. You have this beautiful heart. That we each came here for a specific reason, in a particular body, in a particular way. And we're here for some reason, and we're here at a really interesting time of the world. And so when you fall in love with yourself and bring your unique gift, whatever it is that you bring in the beautiful way that you do, and when we each do that, and then we do it collectively, again, real magic in there. So love and self, fall in love with yourself.
Excellent. I love it. Thank you, Morgan. Thanks for being here. Thanks for, doing everything that you're doing. Also for, talking so vulnerably as well, and talking about all the different things that you kind of working through. I know there's so much more, as we said in the beginning. There's so many more rabbit holes that we could go down. We didn't even.
Well, good. Well, let's do it again sometime, because that's really fun. It's really nice to be here and just appreciate what you're putting in the world. And this is important. Like this, I know there's a lot of men out there who will benefit from this, and let's explore some rabbit holes. It's nice to do so.
No, man, I'm definitely keen. I mean, you've got or Jenny's got my my calendar link. So just find anytime you want. Just find another. I'm going to open it up for you anytime you want. Just find another slot, and we'll just jump back on and see where the conversation goes. Well, you have a great day. A great day, everybody. Have a great, wonderful day. And again, remember, if you want to be on the show, or somebody that wants to be on the show, you can reach out to me at brotherhood@motivatedmasculinemen.com. And we'll get you on the show. Or if there's somebody that you want, or even if you want to talk more around that relationship side or around that masculinity side, I'm totally always open to it. We can set up a time to just have a conversation, talk on that side. I just want to see men thrive in this day and age, because it's something that I've become passionate about. So make sure you like, subscribe, and then the most important thing that I always say is, if somebody popped into your brain during this conversation that I was having with Morgan, make sure you share it with them. just send it to them and be like, hey, this made me think of you. You don't have to say anything else. Just share it out to them. Is yes, I want to get the views, I want all that, but it's more of the I want the impact for that person because you thought about them for a specific reason. So, it's obviously a thing. Even time tag it, be like, hey, at this moment, I thought of you. So they can just fast forward. I don't care. I just want them to get what they need out of it. So, till next time, we love you all. My motto is train hard, test easy. That's both physically, mentally. And then that way, life is that little bit easier in the moments when it's really tough. Love you all. Till next time. Laters.